Okay, so this will be a feedback slash critique for ShoObsidian. You might not know me. I just go by Shazam or Captain Marvel in the Discords. And I am by no means a professional at this game. I am just a nerd who likes Tekken, right? I like Fahk, he's super fun, and he's fucking busted, right? However, I am not saying that the following advice I'm going to give you is by any means, it is not gospel. Right. All it simply is some observations from someone who enjoys Tekken a lot, who's played a lot of Fahk, fought a few Fahk, and just basically, hey man, here's where I think you could be doing better. Right. Now, another thing to consider is the level you're at right now is very early on in your Tekken journey, right? And green rank Tekken, that early stages of Tekken where a lot of people are very aggressive, just pressing buttons, just the only thing they really got going on for them are combos, is drastically different than, say, high level Tekken, right? What you see in tournaments, or even just high ranking Tekken like Genbu or Ryujin or whatever, right? So there's going to be a lot of advice thrown your way, just take your journey as however you want to progress. All I'm simply going to be saying is, hey, in this area, this is some stuff that will help you a lot more right now, right? And on this advice, this is some stuff that will not necessarily create an explosion in your gameplay in this stage, but will lead to better results later on as you fight stronger opponents, right? Whether that's reducing bad habits or getting more familiar with concepts that you can build upon later. At the end, and then just trying to find a good balance there. Okay, let's get right into it. So right here, your primary mid should not be down 4-2-3, right? If you're not certain that the opponent is gonna duck, right, or if you haven't set up a frame trap where you've got a shitload of plus frames because down forward one just hit or something, and you need a mid to press, don't press down 4-2-3, right? There's no mix up. If the opponent stand blocks, they'll block both options, the mid and the high, and they will punish you. And -12 is a pretty effective punishment range. A lot of people have decent punishers at that frame, and AK especially has a really good punisher with back 1-2, solid damage, and they leave you pretty close, and you're gonna have to take a throw mix up, right? So this is where it's gonna be look man, I get it, it's a powerful tool, it's your launcher, but you need to also just understand that try to avoid it becoming a habit, right? There's a difference between pressing a button because you can't help because it's muscle memory, right? Versus pressing down 4-2-3 when you're like, this dude's gonna duck and I'm gonna get him, or he's gonna run into the down forward 2. Which can happen, right? Which can happen. Yeah. So try to avoid pressing that too often. It's fine for now, but it's something just kind of keeping in mind that this is a bad habit that's going to get you killed later on. And a lot of for quick improvements at this stages, it's going to be a lot of low pokes, a lot of timed aggression, right? Like attacking at the right time when the opponent is going to run into it. But you want to, and it can be very easy because nobody's going to be consistently punishing you on anything. But that's the reason you want to watch out for these bad habits now, because that way later on when you're fighting Genbus and whatever else, that you're not busy trying to break the bad habits you have set in place right now, right? Trust me, as someone who has had to break plenty of bad habits, and still a lot of bad habits to break that were ingrained into me because of just how aggressive online can be, it's annoying, right? So I'm stressing the point now. It's watch out for doing too much unsafe shit, because these will become habits that will be harder for you to break down the line, right? If you need mids, right, he's got plenty of them. Down forward 4, 3+4, down 1, down forward 1, and then 3. right? Plenty of mids that you can use as kind of like a, all right, I don't know if they're gonna duck, but I'm just gonna throw out a mid and see where it goes, right? Especially 3 because of all the strings from it. So forward 1 plus 2 also falls in that same category, right? Don't like, I get it. You're dancing around. You're like, fuck, I don't know what he's gonna do. I think he's gonna press something big launcher button. But a lot of people, and just even in green ranks, you'll find some people who are very passive. They're just playing the game or whatever, or you'll find Smurfs. Who knows? They're not going to be pressing into it all the time, right? And then instead you'll just be leaving yourself very vulnerable at minus 14. And it's, again, that situation of you don't want to be building these bad habits, because then you'll face people who will really like consistently punish you, right? The moment you fight a strong wall, he's going to launch every single forward 1 plus 2, and that's just not a place you want to be in. That's whatever. So the opponent just tech rolled out of the wall from your combo, right? And you don't necessarily have the time to, realign with them and start applying pressure. So you're going to press 3-4, right? Is it here? No, it's after this combo. They tech, you press 3-4, they block it. And this puts you in an awkward spot, because now he can do back 1-2, and then your back is to the wall, and it's going to hurt a lot. However, he's not going to punish you because it's green ranks and nobody punishes anything in this stage, right? Something to consider is that sometimes the best Oki, and this is going to be more, long-term advice, the best Oki is no Oki, right? So walk it back here, right? So you get the combo, you get the wall splat, you overcommit to 3+4, but instead, if you just waited a little bit, see that he's going to tech roll, you can then follow with forward 3. He's not going to be ready to sidestep it because he's going to be just blocking because he's just mashing tech roll, and you'll be +6 with the AK's back is to the wall. Fahk wall pressure is insane, right? Absolutely insane. He gets free guard breaks, he has multiple wall splatting mids, he has back forward 4 that is homing, so if the opponent tries to move, you'll kill them. All of this stuff, right? So sometimes it's best to just pump the brakes and then hang back and focus more on being a secondary wall, right? What do I mean by that? The AK's back is already to the wall. There's no more room that he can just backdash your stuff. There's no more room for, the hit stop on your attacks, the pushback on hit on your attacks to create distance for the opponent, right? He's very limited into what he can move around with and how far he can run away from you. So he's going to be very on the lookout for, I need to get the fuck out of here. So he's going to be very panicky, press a lot of buttons, and then that's where you come in as this second immovable wall of you're just waiting for him to fuck up, right? And then you punish him accordingly. So that's something to consider about just kind of like, all right, my opponent's back is to the wall. I can run in to try and apply a mix-up, or I can just advance my way forward, let him get up, and then apply my pressure. It's a bit more advanced as it is right now. All you really need to do is just wait a little bit, let them get up, and then start pressing forward 3 or instant wall running 3, and they're not going to have the movement or knowledge to really effectively counter that, right? So then all of a sudden you're +6 to 9 at the wall, and you can press whatever button you want, and then the AK will probably just be mashing it counter hit. So, short term, pump the brakes. You don't need to always be applying your Oki, right? You're not always going to be able to run in, get the perfect wall combo, right? And that's fine, because it doesn't matter, because the long-term goal is that you reach the wall. Congratulations. Now just apply your wall pressure and continue keeping the opponent at the wall. There's real talk, there's just very few characters that can match how disgusting Fahk can get at the wall. Do they exist? Absolutely. But in a cast of 50, Fahk still near the top when it comes to that. Nice. Press that button more. Back forward 4 is fucking godlike. That move is absolutely insane. It's like, oh no, people, you can whiff back forward 4. I'm like, yeah, you can whiff your 18 frame unseeable homing high launcher that's plus on block. Damn, dude, that really sucks. Anyway, I'm gonna be ranting slightly on the edge of this. I don't know. People like, man, I downplay Paul for funsies, and sometimes I do downplay him because I don't give a shit. But people are just like, oh, this character's dead. I'm like, how the fuck do you? Anyway. Back one. This is another thing of like, I feel like you're. Okay, so this one, it feels like a whiff punish, so I'm not gonna harp on this too much. Be careful with back one. I'm not gonna stress on it as much as down forward 2-3, but the thing about it is that it's still another bad habit, right? Make sure to leave back one for block punishes and whiff punishes, right? Don't rely on it as a primary mid tool, because if your opponent's not that scared to duck, you are basically setting yourself up to get launched, right? Everybody can launch this move. The problem is that it's stupid fast block stun and it's online, so not a lot of people are going to be punishing it, so you're going to run into more situations that the move just goes unpunished. But it's different at a high level where people forget to like launch that move because once or twice, versus at the intermediate level where people keep pressing that button because they haven't had it punished, and then their opponent gets a free 60 to 80 damage combo, right? So you got to be careful with that. It's that in this situation, I don't think it's that big of a deal because you whiff punish something, but just, you know, don't let it become a habit, right? You have plenty of other mids that you're like, I don't know what to press, I need a mid to press. You have plenty of those types of buttons, right? 3+4 will carry you for a long time. Try to have the just, you gotta hit up practice mode. Try to make sure, because that changes back one from just like a back one's 14 frames, right? Yeah, 14 frames. That changes back one from just a 14 frame 20 damage knockdown into 47 damage into crazy Oki if they don't know how to get up properly and all this other stuff, right? So try to have that consistent. Or if you're just like, I just want a button to press that gets me guaranteed damage, if you get back one, just press 3+4 for easy damage, right? If you're worried about fucking up the input. I'll talk about that later. And this is another thing of, okay, so let's talk about it, right? The AK was dead, right? This was your round to win. You press while standing 1-2, congratulations, you won the game, right? Now, punishment. It's a tricky situation because, you know, there's 50 fucking characters in this game and it's a shitload of data to go through, right? And I'm not saying that you need to learn every single character and their punishment data and every single string. It's a lot, right? However, you do need to start, you know, developing that knowledge at some point. The biggest thing that's really going to help you in these early stages is consistent punishment, in my opinion, right? There's going to be, you know, a lot. It's a cast of 50 characters, but certain characters are a lot more popular than others. AK, Paul, Kazuya are all some of the most popular characters in this game, right? So it can be pretty easy to just quickly learn the punishment of some key moves. Like, for example, AK down 4 is -13 on block, right? It's a super powerful tool, but if you block it in this situation, the AK should die because you do while standing 1-2. I'm not going to harp on this too much, but just how you develop your punishment knowledge is up to you. Some people, like for me, I just looked up punishment guides of characters I was really struggling with, and I just tried to learn them, basically. Tried to learn, okay, I'm not going to learn every move, but if I learn the popular moves and I learn what their punishment is, that's fine, right? But I do believe that, you know, having consistent punishment, being able to consistently punish things will really step up your game and rack up free damage. Because a lot of people will basically have bad habits that they're unable to break, and you just keep punishing them for it, right? It's obviously very difficult in a cast of 50, but you just take things one step at a time, right? I was in your shoes once when I was playing Green Rank Paul, had no fucking idea how to really punish anything, and just one by one, a character would beat my ass. I'd be like, holy fuck, I hate this. I need to go look up this punishment thing so I know what to punish against this character. And then, you know, slowly but surely over time, I can punish at least one or two things. Do I punish it consistently all the time? No, it's always a work in progress. But that should be the goal, is just kind of like you just keep chipping away at it, right? And the good and bad thing about Tekken is that a lot of stuff is, you know, legacy knowledge, right? People have been fighting AK since Tekken 5, right? And they'll be very used to that animation, they'll be very used to that style, and they'll be very used to punishing that character. And it's a reason you can make it's a reasonable argument to say if you learn how to punish AK right now, you will be ready for the next time he shows up in a Tekken game, right? And even in older ones if you want to go back and play those, right? So it is very good and easy to build up punishment. And especially on stuff like generic, right? Like if you see a hop kick from a character, 9 times out of 10, the hop kick is minus 13, and you just need to practice the time you're getting used to the animation. Same thing with down 4. AK's down 4 is a generic down 4, you know, fast, high crush low that has pretty good tracking and really good range. But a lot of those lows are minus 13, right? So knowing that punish, you know, you can shortcut a lot of things. Like learning the punish for one will help you get more used to it. Even if the animation is slightly different, you'll be like, okay, even though the animation is different, that tool fits the mold of AK down 4, so I know that that move is minus 13. Right? You know, food for thought, just something to consider. Good duck. Oh my god. All right, so that's something that's something we gotta watch out for again right here, is that the reason we want to stress like consistent punishment is that, right, if the AK was consistently punishing you, he would have just done back 1-2 right here, or even shoulder, and you would have died, right? Because you fucked up what was basically the AK handed a situation of free damage to you and then died, or should have died, but he didn't. And then you basically were like, no, I don't want this free damage on a silver platter. I'm gonna fuck up my punishment, right? So it's a tricky situation, but again, stressing that, you know, when you get free damage, always get it. Good duck. That's always sick. I have no idea how you read that. I mean, honestly, actually, yeah, I have no idea, because I would have expected Rage Art. Maybe. I don't know. Rip. Oh, I missed that. Okay, so down. Oh my god, I am just all over the place. Okay. Okay. Alright. So this is more of a long-term thing, right? It's animal furs. You got to be very careful with whiffing buttons, right? When you whiff buttons now, at this stage, it doesn't mean anything. Very few people are going to be ready to whiff punish you, and it's not really something to consider, right? For a lot of players, myself included at this stage, we just threw out buttons. If people ran into it, awesome. If they didn't, oh well, we'll just try again later. The problem is that this builds up bad habits that are going to hurt you on later down the line, right? Especially against AK, which you could be, you know, from coast to coast. He'll press forward to, he'll reach you, or he'll press forward to one, or he'll, you know, coast to coast, he'll press forward to one, he'll whiff punish you, The reason it's important is because twofold. One, you're avoiding overextending. When you look at higher level play, how often are they really whiffing buttons, right? And because every time you whiff a button, you are overextending yourself and leaving yourself vulnerable against your opponent. So you have to be careful. And the less you whiff, right, the more it's going to be, the less opportunities your opponent gets for free damage. It's the same concept as if why you don't want to keep pressing too much unsafe shit, right? However, obviously this is very difficult. How are you going to, not whiff buttons? Then, you got to press buttons at some point. It's try to be purposeful with your buttons. Try to gauge the distance and spacing and focus on, okay, at this range, I can visually see that they are in range of back forward 4, and I will now press that button, right? And trust me, back forward 4 has some really good fucking range. Man, I love Fahk, he's so busted, but I also love Paul. Anyway, you have some really good fucking range on that button. You're not gonna have to whiff it too much. And because, again, if you whiff it, that move is death, right? So you need to be very careful and try to be very judicious of, okay, focus on I'm in the correct spacing for back forward 4, then I'll press it, right? There is a thing about whiffing buttons with keep out, but that's a different style entirely, right? You want to focus on moves that have very fast whiff recovery and aren't, Fahk sticking out his leg for a good, full second before being able to move around. Yeah, that's all I want to say. It's just, try not to whiff too much shit. But let's keep going. Rip. Yep. Okay, so that's another thing. The reason we're going to stress punishment is because a lot of people do the most unsafe shit. Like right here, right? This AK would have died. No, they might have died. Fahk hits like a fucking truck. Anyway, this move is launch punishable, right? And even though it looks like there's a lot of pushback on this block here, right? AK does extend his hurt box. And, you press down forward 2-3, you're going to launch this move. Right, this move is minus 20 on block. And that's why we stress just kind of like, okay, look, you don't need to know every single intricacy about the character, right? Do I need you to know how to punish Shadow Step 2 from AK? It's minus 13, but not really, right? However, these big Hail Mary moves that you're going to see a lot, right? Gotta punish them. Gotta punish them. This isn't just free damage, right? Normally a punish is like 20 damage, 30 damage on some really strong ones. Like Fahk forward 2-1 is like 30 damage. It's pretty good. Right? We're talking... This is Fahk, right? He hits like a truck. We're talking 70 damage minimum because you're going to get the full combo, right? You're not going to have to worry about a wall awkwardly running into it and then ruining your combo. Right? So this isn't like free damage. This is free chunky damage. And that's the thing of like, okay... All right, I ran it, and how you want to go about that is up to you, right? It's just going to be a lot about, all right, I'm running into this character a lot. Fuck it. What is their most punishable stuff? I'm gonna not die to this cheesy gimmick shit, right? And just developing that knowledge over time. Anyway, let's keep going. Oh, that's funny. Rip. It's whatever. There's not much to talk about there. Yeah, I'll talk about that later. CD1 in combos is so fucking cool. If I cared enough about playing AK, I would learn that. Right, again, you run into the situation of, alright, you don't know what to do, and now you're just pressing punishable stuff. And, yeah, it's whatever, the AK is not punishing, but, yeah. It's unfortunate. Oh, you got the combos down. Kinda. Nice! What the fuck? What kind of... Oh my god. Nice! Good block. So in these situations, right, when you have to, like, there's going to be some buttons that you're not going to whiff punish, right? Like if a Steve does back one, you're not going to whiff punish that from this range, right? But if you're gonna go for it, I don't know about going for back one, right? Even back one, as fast as it is, there's a bit of a wind up there because you're not just thinking about the startup of the move, right? Back one is a fast move, but when you have to react to something, there's gonna be a bit of delay, right? That move, will still come out in 14 frames, but you'll be a frame or two slow on the punish because you were reacting to the whiff, right? It's not like you were psychic and you read that he's gonna press back 4 or down forward 4 right there and then be ready with the whiff punish, right? You were reacting to the whiff, but you chose a move that is pretty fast, but the issue is it wasn't fast enough. Your reaction was just too slow. But now you're leaving yourself up to a huge amount of risk, right? Because if the AK just, well, he backdashed, so timing's a bit weird, but if he just hop kicked, right, you would have died, right? Or you would have eaten a shitload of damage. So in those situations, try to focus on stuff like 3. Standing 3 is just a fine whiff punisher, just to like pester your opponent for those really fast long range whiffs that you're clearly not gonna be in range for, right? But you can press it. If it hits, awesome. You got free, like, what, 10, 15 damage? How much is standing 3, actually? 10 damage, 11 damage, whatever. You get a free 11 damage, right? It's just a poke. And then if it doesn't work out, that's fine, because you don't overcommit by throwing yourself at the opponent and whiffing in front of their face, right? Again, it goes into that. This is kind of bad habit territory. All right. Oh yeah, we already saw this, right? Oh no, this is different. wait, why? Why would you... Okay. He's AK combos. Oh, damn. Yeah, he's somewhat familiar with the matchup. He at least knows what the hell to do there. That's such a weird AK. Yeah, see. Consistent punishes, work on it. Oh, is he just gonna throw you to death? Oh, he had a launch, I think. Okay, so... Oh boy. Alright. Neutral. Punishment / matchup knowledge, combo / Oki, personal opinion stuff. Neutral. You gotta stop with these like Hail Mary power moves, right? Okay, so let's go over some concepts. There's big Tekken, small Tekken, right? Big Tekken is commonly referred to as just these big power moves. Think of Fahk forward 1+2, Fahk down forward 2, 3. Occasionally, back forward 4 would be considered big Tekken, right? It's a big power move with high reward, or typically on the slower end, but the reward is really good. Versus small Tekken, fast, low risk, low commitment moves, but also low reward, right? Jabs, down forward 1, down 4 kind of, generic down 4, etc., 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 right? Moves that don't have as much reward, but they also carry nowhere near the same amount of risk, right? You can jab all day, every day, right? And 80% of the time, if you're not too predictable with your timing, it will go unpunished, right? They're not gonna, nobody's reacting to a jab, right? Nobody's reacting to a 10-frame fucking move and then duck and launching you, right? They had a read that you were gonna mash jabs, right? That's different. But nobody's reacting to these moves. Versus something like, let's say, well, back forward 4 is also unreactable. Let's say, no one's going to be counter hitting you out of jabs or down forward 1 very often, right? But if you use a big slow move like forward 1 plus 2 or forward 1 plus 2, right? They're not going to press into it as much, or they'll hit you out of it because they pressed a faster move or something. And you need to have a good mixture of both, right? Some players will swear by small Tekken all day, every day. Those players also like playing AK, and they're like, wow, death by a million pokes, and then they eat one counter hit launcher, and they're on the back end. And some players, myself included, are like, wow, big Tekken all the way. I'm going to keep pressing all my big counter hit launching buttons, and then they get suffocated because they played against a strong defensive player, and they just got poked to death, right? It goes both ways. But I think you're too far on the big Tekken end, right? You clearly know what moves have high reward with Fahk. You're pressing them all as much as you want, and by golly, you're going to press them. However, you're not focusing enough on jabs, you're not focusing enough on down forward 3, you're not focusing enough on down 4, you're not focusing enough on down forward 1 and standing 3, right? All of these fast, low commitment, long range moves that have very strong options afterwards, right? Yes, down forward 1 being -5 on block is very whatever, but the fact that the move has 9 million follow-ups, right, and is uninterruptible options with down forward 1-4, down forward 1-2, right? You have so many, you press that button and the opponent is in a mix-up, right? Very few moves have that power at that speed. So, I'll talk about this more in personal opinion stuff, but yeah, a lot more small Tekken, focusing more on poking your opponent and stuff like that. Now, why, right? Why do I want to bother poking my opponent with something like down 4 all the time, right? Because you need to there's an ebb and flow to these things, right? If you just press all your mids all day, right, why is the opponent going to be scared? They'll just stand block all the time, right? However, if you mix up your mids with your lows, then they're going to be like, well, fuck, I don't know what's going to happen, right? Do I eat a low, or do I take the mid, or do I block the mid and just eat the low, right? Trust me, if you start pressing down back 4 a shitload of times and the opponent's like, holy fuck, I do not want to be eating this all day, every day, and they start ducking, and then you can press down forward 2-3 every now and again, right? Or you can just keep pressing 3+4 like I do, right? 3+4 is fucking godlike, right? So once you start doing that, then there's an ebb and flow. If you have a tool you really like, by God, go ahead, use that tool as much as you want, right? Like, I love using back forward 4. I'm going to use back forward 4 as much as I want. It's going to be very easy because the opponent's going to be on the lookout for back forward 4 all the time, or jet kick, right? Because they're looking out for jet kick all the fucking time. I can just press my mids and it'll be more likely to hit because the opponent is going to be so worried about jet kick, right? Or back forward 4, however you want to do it, right? Or let's say I love using 3+4, and I'm just sitting there going like, man, I love using 3+4, but how do I get my opponent to duck? I start using a bunch of lows, right? I start doing down back 4, I start doing down 4, and I start chipping at my opponent and getting free damage left and right until they're like, holy fuck, I need to duck, right? And that's that ebb and flow of you're using too many moves, but you're not conditioning your opponent properly to make those moves more useful, right? So you need to be more moves to make your preferred tools better, right? Basically, if you want to use more mids, use a lot of highs and lows to give your opponent reasons to duck and be afraid of just stand blocking there all the time, right? So once they start ducking, then you start using more mids, and vice versa, right? If you think, okay, they're ducking too much, my lows aren't working out, you keep pressing your mids, right, until they stop ducking, and then you start doing your lows again, and there's that constant ebb and flow. The difficulty and how fast this is going to work is obviously going to vary greatly with the player, but that should be your goal of first establish, what does my opponent do? Do they stand block all the time? All right, I'm going to keep pressing down 4 until they stop, right? Do they keep flash ducking? Okay, I'm just going to keep pressing 3+4 until they stop, right? Do they keep trying to sidestep? All right, I'm just going to press back 3 or back forward 4 until they stop. You get what I'm saying, right? It's if there's a cause and effect, right? Or there's a logical sequence of events of, okay, the opponent's doing this, I have this move which counters what they're doing, so I'm going to keep doing that until they change their strategy, and then I follow by changing my strategy, right? So start getting in the habit of that, just a bit more poking, a bit more reason to make your big Tekken moves work better for you. Punishment / matchup knowledge, right? This AK was just never ducking ever, right? You need to take more advantage of recognizing, okay, my opponent's just dancing around, but they're not really flash ducking too much. Let me start doing some lows, right? Doing down back 4, right? If you can do down back 4 as much as you want, what the fuck is AK gonna do while standing 4? Granted, his while standing 4 got buffed, so it's a kind of scarier, but let's be real here, it is not enough to deter you from using down back 4, right? Anyway, another stuff to consider is just kind of a bit more jabs and a bit more 3, just as a poking tool, right? You don't have to commit to the string, just press 3, see what the opponent does. Do they immediately duck and dick jab like this AK was doing, right? And then you're like, okay, he's going to immediately duck and dick jab, so I'm just going to press 3-4, right? And then 3-4 will get counter hit, and you get your free damage, right? Stuff like that. Other things, I talked a lot about, punishment already. I'm not going to go that much more into detail. I have already said my piece. Do with it what you will. Be free, my child. Go on your Tekken journey however you want, right? Combos / Oki. Your combos were solid. It felt like you were fine. And I already talked about Oki, right? Don't be over eager to just constantly apply your Oki all the time, all day, every day, right? Sometimes the best thing you can do is just pump the brakes, wait a little bit, and then continue to apply your pressure, right? You're sacrificing the Oki, but you're keeping the wall pressure and the wall positioning, which is arguably way more valuable given how strong Fahk's wall game can be. Personal opinion stuff. These are options that I think are neat, but your mileage may vary, right? You don't feel obligated to use these, but just keep them in consideration, right? If you need a Whiff Punisher, back 3 is a solid Whiff Punisher, right? Provided that the opponent isn't like doing some low that leaves them low, right? That leaves them not standing. Otherwise, back 3 will whiff. More down 4. Down 4 is a fucking godlike tool, right? I love that move. It is free. It is unseeable. Think of down 4 as a button that literally says, press me to get free 15 damage whenever the fuck you want, right? And that's it. Is it something that you should use 24/7? Maybe. I think so. But obviously there's risk to it, right? It's launch punishable, right? And it's -5 on hit. So you can't be spamming it. However, let's see. Did he block this? So like right here, okay, well okay, so let's say you didn't like just whiff a fat button with forward 1+2. So like right here, hypothetically, you're both in neutral and you're at that range, right? It's very likely down 4 is still gonna hit. Or if the AK dashes towards you, you just press down 4, right? And he's gonna get hit. Well, let's say he gets lucky. Maybe he has the read. He dashes, but he stops like right where his feet are, and he just blocks, and he blocks down 4. His punish isn't gonna reach you, right? Wall standing 1 has shit range. There's no way that thing's reaching you, let alone wall standing 4, right? So, you have long range buttons. Abuse them. Abuse the fuck out of them, right? You get to, this is AK, anything, 90% of what AK will press at this range, where he currently is right now on the screen, will whiff, right? Yeah, he has shoulder, and then you just block shoulder and then launch him, right? But Fahk, he has a lot of tools that reach from this distance. And that's the power of Fahk, is you have the whole screen is your oyster, right? So just try to leverage your range a bit more and develop that sense of spacing of like, okay, if I press down forward 4 or down forward 3 here, I will hit him. Or if I press down 4 here, I will hit him. And that way you can avoid whiffing those moves and avoid overextending. So that goes back into getting better at spacing and stuff like that. Other personal opinion stuff. Down back 4 is it's not there's a lot of good lows in this game. So I wouldn't say it's like top 10, but you know, top 15, top 20 in a game with thousands of moves. Down back 4 is a pretty fucking good low, right? Man, that low is so good. +5 force crouch. That's fucking insane. Anyway, yeah, so that move's really good, and then just use it and abuse it, right? Again, knowing and then develop that, and keep in mind, right, as you apply some of this stuff, you're probably going to get the shit beat out of you at some point because you're not used to applying it, you're not applying it effectively yet, right? But that's fine. You're on the learning process, right? So you focus on applying these tools, and then as you get better at applying them, you'll have a better sense. So you start focusing now, as opposed to, you know, let's say you get to overload, or whatever, yellow, orange rank, whatever it is, and then you're like, oh yeah, I should probably use down back 4 more, and then you have no idea how to use it because you didn't start now, right? Start now, develop that knowledge, and then you can get better at applying these tools later on as you progress. Other options I think are neat. I'm gonna cut it off here. I feel like I've said a lot. I've always rambled on these things, but I've said enough where I'm like, hey man, I've given you plenty of stuff to work with, and just kind of like think on it for a little bit. If you have any questions, I know you posted this both in Zaibatsu and the Fahk Discord, but just, you know, feel free to ask. I'm usually somewhat active in Fahk Discord, but just, you know, let me know if you have any questions, and you know, if something didn't make sense, or if you're like, hey, yeah, I just need to know what buttons to press, and I'll just tell you, press these buttons and try to figure it out, blah blah blah. Yeah, let me know if you need anything. Have a good one.